What I think is a very good online article from this cilantronews.com website, March 2016, by PhD Palmer, the 10 strong candida supplement. I think the article is good in all that I'm doing. My research right now on fungus cancer, based on what I'm going through. I think this is a very good summative article to make a video on. That's why I'm making this video today. First of all, I want to start by showing the image alone just shows the spores, and then it shows the hyphal form, which is when the yeast, or the candida yeast, which should be in this form, a little spore, like a little egg-shaped spore, converts that, mutating or converting itself into a spore with a little tail. This is where we start going into the hyphal form, which is challenging. So I like the image, of course, and we'll go through this article in bits and pieces as we go along. So there is a nice definition. It shows that candida is a yeast, and of course the yeast 11 at the whole lump according to the Bible, so we need to be very careful of that. Now, of course, candida has a function in the body, and in this case here it says that candida helps us to deal with the non-assimilated sugars, and also candida absorb mercury, and mercury is not good for us at all levels. So that's like 1, 2 function. I mean, the third critical function I think is that is not mentioned here, which I think candida is really the main one for when you die, to start decomposing you. So it's a decomposer. Okay, that's the main job. Now, why is it so harmful? Well, of course, the literature will tell us it's not harmful in small amounts, but once it starts going over, or we call it overgrowth, that's when it becomes harmful. Now we have to understand what overgrowth of this parasite means, because maybe it could mean massive population or increase in the number of the yeast or the yeast form, or overgrowth. In my case, I would say it's when it starts going to the hyphal form, when it starts moving away. Let's look at this picture. This is the yeast form, which is the candida, as you say, episodal yeast, like a little ellipse, like a little egg. And then when it starts transforming itself into this, from the yeast into this hyphal form with a tail or a stem, and start doing this thing, that's when we end up in challenge. Of course, mold, so you know what this is going to look like. If you look at a picture of a mole, the hyphal form is where we have the challenge. So once it reaches to that state, the hyphal form, it becomes virulent and it starts spreading. Now, why is it so harmful? Back up here, because you notice what it does. It feeds at our expense on some very important minerals, and secondly, it creates toxic substances that poisons us. So you see, this here is a really bad one, ammonia again and uric acid, but this here is really bad. This here is bad for the liver. So anyhow you look at it, the overgrowth of candida, whether it's population overgrowth or hyphal form overgrowth or hyphal form development, we in trouble. So this article really I like this article, because here we make a good point. Again, once transformed into this, the filament fungus form, which is the hyphal form, right, we start realizing it will start colonizing our organs itself, start trying to dig into our system. And I must say, it start also, from what I've been reading, start playing around with our DNA of our regular cells, because these creatures here, these parasites, actually have a structure similar to human DNA. So it's not too clear, but it seems like the ability for it to mutate our DNA would point to its power as a parasite. And again, the second part of the power that it has is that it escapes our immune system, maybe again because it has this whole structure of the DNA similar to humans. So it could mask by doing this when it creates a biofilm around itself. And so our defense mechanism, immune system, or even our antiviral drugs falls flat on its face when it has to deal with this. So we have to prevent ourselves from getting candida overgrowth, especially the virulent hyper form. Our goal is to have a proper gut microbiome to ensure that we have the bacteria and the other organisms controlling the gut microbiome, which would control our yeast, right? And we of course detox and so forth to help. Now, what causes candida overgrowth? From literature, to me, the risk factors, 80% of the risk factors lies in this thing called medication, specifically antibiotics, and in my case that is long-term overuse of antibiotics without having the right knowledge. I didn't understand probiotics, I didn't understand the gut microbiome, and so using antibiotics and think you're doing a good job, you're doing a good job at killing your own apart from the bad bacteria that you might try to be fighting. You will be killing your own good bacteria in your gut, and those good bacteria, once they are not there, then they get overrun by candida, because they balance out candida in your gut microbiome and keep your system up and operational. So this is your biggest risk here. Of course the other risks are okay, but you could do things about them, but this is the one that we usually don't pay attention to. Your use of specific medications, oral contraceptive, you would see that playing out in literature as a big issue. So please don't reach that state. Focus on keeping your candida growth under cover. Now, the effects of the mycotoxic substance produced by candida is what's really our issue here. This mycotoxic substance, when it's released into the cell, it pierces our immune system cells, so our immune system does not really become good at fighting candida because it has its first defense mechanism, this one here, this toxic substance. The second one, really bad, they read up about it. It promotes the formation of cancer, which is what drive me to this experience of learning cancer. Study report that the release of ammonia raises the pH. So once the pH is raised, then you have more of the hyphal form of the yeast being formed. So candida just knows how to do it. Ammonia creates the proper environment for more of it. So candida is just well placed in terms of its formation and its parasitic overtaking strategies for the body. So we need to strategize and beat it. Now you see gliotoxin, which is another one made by candida, stimulates the destruction of cells in the liver. So the liver becomes attacked because of this toxic substance created by this guy. And of course, once the liver is compromised, we turn around, immune system compromise again. So goal here folks, so we are to work on getting rid of candida. Now this is quite hopeful to see this statement in that from yeast to hyphal is reversible. Now this is true if you catch this early. It is also true, so it's true with I would say a short path, maybe 6 to 8 months. But what if you had this issue for 10 to 12 years and you reach the state of cancer plus other manifestations? Then you have a long road and you have to discipline yourself. So this is where you have to walk that long road, be disciplined and hold on. It is reversible, but it will take a lot from you in discipline to hang on to get this reversed, because as you note before, even the high fall or the yeast, once it's overgrown and has overrun the system, you have to get your gut microbiome back intact. You have to work with it, you have to maintain it, sustain it, and you have to also remove. So when you speak about candida, persons would tell you things like you have strategy where you have to starve the candida, and the second thing they would tell you is sometimes you have to kill the candida. So it's starving, you have to do things like fasting, the candida diets, meaning removing anything that feeds the candida, like the sugars that was mentioned earlier on, the gluten, the bread and grains and stuff like that. So that's a whole protocol on its own you have to look at. Keto would be very good here, right? But kill candida, that is where we have to find strong antifungals. Now you can find some strong antifungals which would work, and then it might not work because the yeast is strategic and it mutates, right? And then of course all this comes with sensible things like exercise, fiber, and a whole host of other things you have to do. Water intake is important. So we look at all this together, and you want to combine the two strategies to deal with this. Now everybody wants a miracle from the perspective of everything happening overnight, but remember, the growth led to overgrowth, which took years. So in one article I read online, it says for every 1 year you have a serious condition which was caused by the fungal overgrowth. So cancer in my case. If I would say I have 12 years here, then you have to give 2 months to help reverse. So this year would be like a whole 12. I would need 2 months for every year. 2, 4, 6, 12, so like 2 years time. I would need 2 years completely to reverse the cancer and overcome the full issue. Now, the reason the 2 years doesn't mean that things cannot happen before. Yes, things could happen before, but what we are seeing here is things would happen, and when things are happening, you cannot just jump. You can't jump up and say, oh, I'm feeling good today, pain has gone, so forth and so on. You need to ensure 2 years of dedication to the plan to kill the candida. So you have to, over the 2 years, ensure you starve, plus apply the killer of antifungals. Do that for 2 years to try to, if you have a problem, for 12 years. So for every year you know you have a problem, and you started to track back your life, and you start realizing, hey, these things were problematic back then. It didn't just come overnight. It was back 10 years ago or 12 years ago. Track back and start saying, if I stick to it, do what I have to do, invest my time, invest myself, I would be able to overcome, I would be able to heal, I would be able to reverse the symptoms such as the tumor. The tumor is basically the symptom or the manifestation of this hyphal form, and the mutation of our cells, largely driven by the presence of the toxic substance released by the candida overgrowth. Whether it is in the yeast form, so the elliptical form, or in the hyphal form. So we need to attack it on every side and get a very good handle on dealing with candida. Do not wait. Take your actions today.